Guess if you guys just want to tell me about yourself, your pronouns, where you're from, based, what you do.
My name is Kid Lacey. I go by Kid Lacey. My government is Adolphus Matthew Lacey. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm from Westchester, New York, which is not upstate, is just outside the city. I'm also partly based in the city in Manhattan because I go to NYU, the Clive Davis Institute of Recorded Music. I consider myself everything, but I guess, I mean, first and foremost was an MC and songwriter, as well as kind of like I consider myself more of a theoretical producer than practicality because I just tap in with other producers, and then ultimately a creative music entrepreneur. And so just finding creative ways to use my talent, use my art to create capital out of that and to create, just like experiences, be that, social, economic, or solely performative, whatever it is. Music is my bottom line.
I'm Mark Abinader. I go by Marcus. It's just like a family nickname that got picked up over the years. It's like it's more my name and my family than my government name. I was at NYU. I'm transferring out to NJIT for a business tech degree, and then from there I'm going straight to law school. Music wise, I definitely just say like I'm an artist. Like I like to dabble in like some experimental stuff. I like to go like to like the OG like boom bap stuff. Me and Lacey hopped on one of those kind of beats. I'm really just like trying to make it as an artist, get money, build capital, like he was saying, like make sure that once I get to law school, I can become an entertainment lawyer. So I can do like the publishing end of music and all of that and the copyright and really get into that kind of stuff. So I can get into music on that back end if I need to. Born in New York, raised in Jersey. So I'm music out of New York and Jersey. It's a flip flop.
Nice, nice. And how do you two know each other?
And I mean, well, that's that education. We go to we're at NYU at a point in time together,
Yeah.
and just had a lot of interface. And it's actually kind of cool because even though, say, that's not exactly the same mutual situation anymore, we've been able to transcend that. And so I work with the startup record label called Monarch Music Group, and Marcus is really our first, expansive artist in that sense. We did a lot of project based things before, but with Marcus, we were able and are able, and in the midst of being able to
Expand the horizon. You know what I'm saying? Figure
yeah,
everything out.
for lack of any other words, it's really that, it's expansion and growth and improvement. Um, and just a learning process for both ends, because then where I'm an artist as well, and so being able to work with an artist in terms of his music is always good because it's like a mirror thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then as well, it helps me with the entrepreneurial things, and to then expand that and to share that, so that Marcus can do the same damn thing with somebody else that wants to just learn how this shit goes.
And it's mad. It's cool because you know what I'm saying. Like he's a homie, so like I know like while I'm working with him, like everything's cool. Like everything goes smoothly. Like I know like he's out there for my success, and like just working together. Like he's getting so much more experience. I'm learning so much about the industry and how things go on the company end because like you don't know how the business works if you're not in the business doing business. How are you gonna
Exactly.
figure it out? And so like on both ends, you need that experience. And then like we met through my friend Bradley. Shout out V Westcott.
Shout out to
Um,
God.
like he's here right now, and my boy Avi, and like we all just it's like there was a little like collective group around the NYU that we all kind of met each other through.
So how did you each get into music? Like, was it a childhood thing, or like how did that come about?
Yeah, me personally, my music thing, I grew up in a Baptist church. My father was a pastor, or is a pastor, and so he was the senior pastor of that church. And I really just started up in the choir, singing, like doing little solos and whatnot. And I always already loved music. I was really into R&B and whatnot. I didn't personally get into hip hop until I was able to like listen to it myself. So just having my little iPod Nano, um, but then I got into, let's say, maybe late registration drops. Like I was getting to like Gold Digger and like like Drive Slow, and like not even really knowing what those songs meant, but I was like, I just love this guy. I was like, I love what he's doing, this hip hop thing, or I was like this rap thing. I was like, this is really it. And then like picking up on like the Carter Three and like Wayne and whatnot, I loved it. And so being in the only space where I could exhibit music was church. It's funny, a couple of years down the line, we had found a way for me to then rap in one of these songs. So the first song that I rapped to was I did a little remix to "The God in Me" by Mary Mary. They like remixed that, and my like cousin co-wrote it, and it was my first hip hop performance in church, which was like crazy. Like, and like, granted, like that definitely wouldn't have happened if my father wasn't, the pastor at that church, and like had his nuanced, ways of thinking and whatnot. That just propelled me in a sense to where I wasn't afraid to do it. I knew that I could. And I knew that I wanted to. I didn't have any formal training in any other aspect of music, not theory, not piano or any other instrument. I did play drums for a couple years. But you pick up and put things down, so fast. But it helped me with rhythm. And then through the years, I just like, it's kind of like an avalanche or an avalanche. And so the snowball kind of just gets bigger and bigger. And then like say like by the time I'm in middle school, I'm doing covers, covers on YouTube. And then like, once I hit like 8th grade, 9th grade, I'm doing remixes on SoundCloud and like, doing stuff like that. And then it just evolved. And then I was like, I think it's about time that we start doing, we start putting it out all original and whatnot. And then, I wanted to focus on getting the education in that. And then so applying to NYU and Clive Davis and being like, okay, now we're about to, officially say that you do this and here's why and here's how. Because I didn't have that, I just said, I want to be a rapper, blah, blah, blah. But like, mind you, what do you do? Like, I didn't say, oh, I rap, through time, like luckily I found a way, and not luckily, thankfully, gratefully, I found a way to like articulate that which I want to do, and prove and just show that it's worth it, like, yeah. So that was really long-winded, but I started getting into music because, long story short, I loved it,
Right.
and I never lost that.
Amen. You know what I'm saying? So for me, so like I grew up in suburban New Jersey, right? So like arts were like a big thing there. Like once you went to the second grade, from 2nd to 5th grade, you had to be in the choir and you had to play an instrument, right? And it was cool. Like even like even like you have your sports kids and like everyone did it. Everyone had to do it. So it was like a cool experience because you saw everyone outside of their comfort zone, and it was a place where kids who really love music could shine. And I really liked it, and I really liked my music teacher. And so then I stayed with that until all throughout middle school. Just doing choir. I quit band in middle school. I didn't really like it like that. But like I could read notes. So, like I could read, like I could do the sight reading and everything. And then middle school I did like a musical, and I was like, oh, this stuff's like actually kind of cool. I like performing music. And I wasn't scared. Like I didn't have stage fright. So I was like, oh, this is really cool. And throughout middle school I did like variety shows. So I was kind of used to performing, but none of it was hip hop. Like I was all like radio music, like Maroon 5, Bruno Mars, like the old school people, right? And then I got to high school and I met my homies, like my 6th group of homies. We all got really close, and all my friends are Black, like Nigerian, Jamaican, and they like grew up in the culture. And so they introduced me to it because like I had heard hip hop, but like my parents really didn't listen to that, and that wasn't a thing we listened to in the house. So then I listened to it with them, and then I really started messing with it. Like that was Migos, Shabba Ranks, like right around then, ASAP Rocky coming out, and like I was learning about all this stuff, and I was like, oh, like rap music, like this is the stuff. Like this is what I really mess with. Like I got my Dominican culture, my bachata, all that. I really mess with that. But like on the other end, hip hop, like I got a love for hip hop. And then I kept doing musicals, and then about like junior year, I was backstage with 2 of my younger friends, and they were freestyling because like there were only like 4 Black guys in the entire musical. So like we would go in the locker room and hang out, and they're all freestyling, and they were like, yo, you freestyle? And I was like, never in my life. And they were like, hop in. I was garbage. I was absolutely terrible. Worst freestyle you ever heard in your life. But I kept doing it with them, and then I started getting better, and I was like, oh, like I kind of like I mess with this, and I'm not terrible. Like let me keep rapping. And then slowly I got better and better, and then I started like training and freestyling to get really, really nice. And then came to NYU and I'm meeting Bradley, I'm meeting Avi, I'm meeting Matt, I'm meeting all these other dudes who are making music that are all super talented. I'm like, yo, this is what I want to do. I want to be with these people. I want to be making this music. Like, this is the life I want to live. And that's what I've been doing so far. So it's really cool.
How does like collaboration work? Like for each of you, like with each other, especially like the past year in the pandemic, like what has the process been like?
This year, collaboration has been very interesting. It's been, well, so it's interesting because collaboration has been very integral to just how I managed to do things within my career, at least in the past like 3 years or so. So since I've been at NYU, a lot of my music has been vested in whatever scene, I was in, at the time, or just the people I was hanging around with or whatever. And it just matters, collaboration is a huge thing to me. And you could see that a big thing that I like to pride myself on is bringing, people together, but really just bringing energies together, like bringing that type of vibe. And so, when the world stops, that kind of stops, at least physically and tangibly. And so I kind of had a hard time being able to keep up that same level of collaboration that I usually would, and being able to, just go to the same room as so-and-so and co-write, at the same time and whatnot. It hasn't halted it. I'll say, it's brought it to it's definitely added like this period of retardation, like, because it's slowed everything down. It's been way more fleshed out. Like one of my top, my top collaborators, this guy by the name of Lorax. Over this pandemic, we've only made like maybe 3 or 4 records, and that's because we haven't been too adamant about it. So GFM was happening at the end of spring. This guy, Xander Zell, says that, he's got this beat, blah, blah, blah. He needs some folks, he needs somebody to be on it. We commented in the thing. We're like, yo, send that. The next day, I'm sending Wally a couple of like my thoughts. He's sending me his. And then it was funny. That was the most that I felt actually being in the same room, at least for that process, because then he proceeds to call me. Got Tease on the other line, so we on like the group FaceTime, and we're writing, over on FaceTime. And it's been a year, and that's the only time that like I've had that type of like collaboration experience. Everything else has been like, oh, I'm gonna send you this beat, like, or I'll give it to you, or I'll send you this whatever, and like I'll write it and record it on my own time and then just swing it, and that, I mean, that it's cool. It expedites the process. You're able to do it on your own time, and I don't fear that that's not like, a certain nomenclature, when it comes to like the way that industry is done. People are famous, people got things to do. I won't have time to be in the studio, all the time, blah blah blah. The pandemic has definitely taken a toll on it. And so, I mean, yeah, but I mean, I guess to exactly answer the question, I notice I'm not doing that. Is
You're good.
It depends. Thank you. It depends. It just like whatever the vibe is. Sometimes it starts with the beat. Sometimes I have a lot of people sending me like instrumentals, and so saying I picture you on this. Let me know what you think, or they're like, I have this vision, we can do this. Sometimes it's more fixed, sometimes it's more loose. Other times I got an idea and I just need to write it down on the notes, and then we'll come to it, maybe like 6 months later, and then formulate it into whatever. So it really can be anything. And especially in this pandemic, I've learned that it really could be anything, because I haven't tried to adhere to like a fixed way of doing things, just because I'm like, what's the new normal? I'm like, I might as well try everything that I can, like I've never been an A&R, but shit, now I'm doing it now, so that's my shit.
Collaboration to me, I mean, I think it's part of like the essence of making music. Like there's like the component where like you're making your own music for yourself and you're trying to get out a certain vibe, but like music is also like what you do with other people. It's like 5 people sitting in a room, everyone contributes to the song in one way, and you create a masterpiece. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, you can create your own masterpieces, but like the amount of ideas fluctuating throughout a room of so many people with so many different minds, like there are just some things you can't make by yourself. And when you can incorporate so many different talents, you can really create something special. And that's what you can see in a lot of these like albums nowadays with so much collaboration. It's because like, yo, like a lot of artists understand, like, I do this phenomenal, but he does this phenomenal. What happens if we put them together?
Mm-hmm.
It's an alley-oop, like, here, slam dunk it, like, easy, right? And during the pandemic, it's been difficult because I think a lot of the creative work happens within the vibe that you're setting in the studio. Like, you get in there and, like, this guy's grinding out a crazy verse, so I have to grind out a crazy verse, and then we're going to make something crazy. But it's like, what do we want to make? What do we want to talk about? That really fleshes out in there where you can put ideas back and forth. But when you're, when a producer sends me a beat and they go, I see you on this, like, there's not a lot to work with, and now I got to make my thing, and then I got to send it to this guy, and he's got to make his thing, and we got to see if they work, and And it might take 2 weeks to make one song when we could have done it in one night, right? And then for me out of Jersey, like, when I want to come make music with these guys, like, I have my own home studio because I realized, I don't know, like, I was just like, I like making music in my home. I like creating ideas in my home and then bringing them to a studio and fleshing them out there. But like, if I want to come make music with these guys, I take the bus into the city for a weekend and we do I'll bring my mic and we'll do whatever. But you know what I'm saying? It's a testament to like what artists will do to make it. Like I'm not the only one going out in the pandemic, only artist going out and like putting in mad hustle just so they can make a song with someone and going through all that work and whatever. So just doing it during the pandemic makes it harder. And I think it's a testament to just all artists out there struggling and hustling through all of this, still getting the work done.
Right. It takes like an intrinsic drive to do that. Did you want to say anything else, Lacey?
Oh no! I mean, that's just, it's facts. He's spitting. It's a matter of like the metaphysics. Like it's interesting. Like the things that aren't tangible. Once you get rid of that, the music is still, just as good. So you start to realize, what's the bottom line. What do we really need? This music is forever.
I guess if you guys want to talk about your influences, music or otherwise.
Oh, talk about music being forever. Like I mean, I guess, well, so in terms of the way that I like to curate or like to analyze my style, at least at this point in time, I see myself as a conscious MC. So like, a part of the conscious hip hop mindfulness music. If anything, I don't want conscious to be like, misconceived with political, and now granted, the personal is the political, and that's, something that we could talk about later. But like, I'm not, coming over here to always talk about overtly, Black issues or whatever the case is. I could be talking about it nuanced, factions of my Black identity, going to NYU, being from Westchester, and all this and that and whatnot. That's the type of music that I really, really revolve around. And so people that I found that made the same music and inspired me in that type of way to make similar music easily, Kendrick Lamar, most definitely, in terms of somebody that I actually like. I try to shape my style, in ways that I see him just in ways that I see him exuding timelessness. I'm like, bro, this stuff is really gonna be here. Like this, like listen, I'm 20 years old. I didn't hear about Kendrick Lamar till I was 12. The fact that I've managed to take a college level course on him already, it's insane to me, And so I'm like, that's a rapper, but they take him serious, I'm like, and not like, here, Kendrick, get in front of a podium and tell us your political views. No, they take him seriously because of his music. Like, and they're like, we'll continue to take you seriously through the music. And so that's it for me, and I mean, larger than that, it's funny because your influences are usually influenced by some of your other influences. Like if that makes sense, like, Kendrick really, really looks up to Wayne. Like that, the Carter 3 was the first album that I had purchased, and so I love Lil Wayne, and his wordplay was a huge thing for me, largely. But in the name of style, I really gravitate towards just objectively, like rappers that put it all in the bars, for lack of any other, term and way to say it, because I find that that's like a through line across hip hop, because you could be a mumble rap, or you could be, a sad boy, but so long as you are articulating it in the ways that are needed, just to put me in that same space as you, you've done it. So like I could really go on and on, like I mess with, I take a lot of things from Wu-Tang and Most Def, Pac, obviously,
Mhm.
Biggie, obviously, Jay-Z, blah 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 blah. But like I am I'm a nerd when it comes to those things, and I love people who are literary, wordsmiths. So my style is vested in that wordplay, crazy,
Mhm.
mysticism bars like Andre, those types of things. That's my knack, because it's just not what you expect.
Speaking to timelessness, I mean, I think me and Lacey both agree that Kendrick Kendrick has that in the bag. Like, there's not any song through any of his albums, especially dating back to like the first SoundCloud one. You can't not listen to any of them and be like, these are bad songs. Like, you can always listen to them, you can always vibe out to them, and the meaning changes with time, but it's always like there's still like a concrete layer at the bottom which he's always evoking. And with my music, I think I centered more around his sound. I loved his bars and his storytelling, but I liked his sound and how he could evoke emotion with the sounds he puts into his song. Like, how did that song make you feel? Like, you listen to Keisha's song and you're like, those bars hit, but damn, that like vintage sound really evokes that emotion of like, you're in the times, you're living in this, you're seeing this happen to her, right? And so, like, Kendrick, I kind of like Kid Cudi, Travis. I like how they use their sounds a lot. Jaden Smith recently, I've really been gravitating towards, because just like his ability to harmonize, and Lucy,
Mhm.
like, it's not even my favorite song, but what he did in Lucy I thought was phenomenal. The way he built up the entire song sonically was a masterpiece, right? And so bars are a big thing for me, right? Gotta have bars. Always gotta put the bars in. I'm more straight rapper, lyricist rapper than melodic, but I like to find ways and experiment with with sound, and try and figure out a way to like build an environment with it.
So I guess what are like your favorite project or like a favorite project that you've done?
My instinct would be to say the most recent thing that I
Hmm.
did. Well, I'm the most proud of it. I'm definitely the
Hmm.
most proud of the most recent thing I did. Don't write me off. Out or the EP. I call it an artistic statement. It came out in November 14th. It's out everywhere, so definitely like check that out. Like I'm proud of it. But thinking about what I had said about the collaboration in the pandemic, finding that immediate satisfaction in that result. It wasn't necessarily there. I wasn't there when when Lorax spat that verse. I wasn't there. When the masters all came in, and we weren't together. So the process was a little bit twinged, if you ask me. But I guess my favorite project then, to that extent, would be my one prior to that. It's called Level Up. It is nowhere for like official streaming purposes. It's on like SoundCloud, Quadio, and like DatPiff. Like, it's on the low level. It's on the, you gotta go in there if you want to bump that.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, that's my shit. I mean, that was honestly, if I could say, like, if I could just point to certain peaks or places in which like my career has obviously taken a certain shift. Level Up was definitely one of them. Like, I was going into high school. I mean, I was going into my damn, whoa, I was going into freshman year of college at the time. It was the first time that I had really created something original, packaged it, and put it out. Like, the project before
Hmm.
that was a bunch of other people's beats. Like, you play it and you'll know it. It was kind of like how Lil Wayne does, like the No Ceilings, or the Sorry for the Wait, like with the other people's beats and whatnot.
Hmm.
Uh, when I got to Level Up, I was able to have enough producers in mind that they could provide me with certain beats, and also then just to have the know-how to say, okay, well, I'm not monetizing, so I can use YouTube beats. Like, and then
Hmm.
so just being able to then like open up a whole new world of that which I could do. This that project definitely meant a lot. So Level
Hmm.
Up.
Well, firstly, start off, stream Don't Write Me Off, right? We can start that easy. Well, I only have one project out, and I really only got like 2 singles before that. One was with Lacey, and the other was like the first song I released like on platform. My favorite work would probably be Melancholy, and it's off my first tape, The Devil's Playground, right? And I worked with Lacey and Monarch Music with this and releasing it and distribution and marketing and all that stuff, right? And it's been great. But my favorite song is Melancholy off of it because that whole EP, I was trying to like, I don't know, I was trying to figure out how I could use my voice to create certain sounds that I like. I tried to do something and I did it. And that's why I really like that song. Like I set out to do something with the song and I achieved that. And since then, I've kind of gained an understanding of music better. And I feel like Lacey could probably speak to this too, where it's like before when I listened to music, I'd be like, wow, what they're doing is insane. I don't know how they're doing that. Now I'm more like, wow, what they're doing is insane. And I get what you're doing. Like I can tell what you're doing to get there.
Yeah.
Like, I may not be able to do it yet, but I'm gonna figure it out eventually. Like I'm gonna theory craft my way to that. And that's what I really liked about that song. That it was like a little tipping point, like a little switch. There's a lot more steps to go, but that's the first.
So I guess if you want to talk about like the music industry or like the business or like the law side of it, I guess in a way, like if someone was interested or wanted to know like the ins and outs, like what would you tell them?
I tell them to come back every week to learn, more and more because we'd have to cover a different topic. I mean, but largely I take it on like in the frame of like myself. So I'd envision myself, say, talking to somebody who then maybe wants to be an artist. I'd say the first thing I'd say is that it's not as scary as you think it is. And that's because you keep thinking that it's scary. And like, you're not necessarily getting into it and debunking, all of those myths or just what you don't know, like the shit you don't know. Just because you don't know doesn't mean it's not happening or somebody else isn't doing the research or that there aren't books, being put out on it. There's so many books about the music business and music industry. And like, I bet you if you gave one of those books to Lil Pump, or like somebody that they would he wouldn't be Lil Pump, he'd be somebody much larger than that, and much more stable and in that. So basically, just my big thing is longevity is possible empirically. We've been shown that longevity in this industry is possible, though. People fear that it might eat you up, and people fear that it might change you. But I believe that it'll only exacerbate that person who you already are. So it's just a matter of not only dealing with the industry but dealing with yourself in the industry. Nothing's cookie cutter, so learning how to talk to people and more so learning how to listen to people, and understanding how people understand certain behaviors, how people work. It's a if anything, it's a lot. It's part social experiment. It's part scientific. There's math involved. There's English involved. Like it's everything. It's everything. And honestly, that if that can easily be attributed to the fear in it, but it being everything can 100% be attributed to the excitement and why we love it so much.
Yeah, and a little bit of nuance I'd add to that because it's a good statement. Like, yo, don't be afraid of following your dreams. People are generally, out of everyone I've met, everyone's super nice, right? So you shouldn't be afraid of the people, but you shouldn't be naive, right? Because just because someone's gonna be nice to you doesn't mean they're not gonna try and use you, and it doesn't mean they're not gonna try and take advantage of you. And you gotta be able to spot when someone's trying to take advantage of you.
Preach.
Like let's say you hop in the studio and they're trying to overprice you, or they're trying to da-da-da, or this was supposed to be your song, and like, don't fight, but also know your situation and be able to communicate really well too. Like, because you can't communicate, like you can't get anywhere. But just like, be smart, learn the business side of it. Make sure you know what you're talking about, and make sure you know how to talk to the people. Because especially with producers, like really good producers can do what you want, but you have to be able to tell them what you want. You got to be able
Yep.
to tell people what you want. This is what I want. This is what I need. Do it. If you do it like this and then get creative and do your thing, we're gonna have a good song or whatever. Or like getting in contact with people, making sure people like you. But relationships are huge. Just
Yeah.
knowing which relationships with who are proper and which ones are fake, which ones are, that's
Hmm.
that's an important thing, I'd say.
Yeah. Communication is key.
It's
Yeah,
key.
yeah. I guess with both of you like being college students, like what have you taken away from your college education so far, like in terms of music or just like anything like academic that you feel like is in the back of your mind when you're making music or when you're like moving throughout the world?
All of this is it's stuff that I guess I kind of somewhat knew. A lot of it is part instinct, but I wasn't aware that there was certain names for what I was learning. I wasn't aware of exactly what I was doing until I got into this college space. So everything that I really attributed to my insight about the music industry, especially the music business industry, is due to NYU largely. If there's one thing that I really like would take away like from my college experience, there's a lot more that's happening than what you're seeing. So even just maybe being in a certain space, like regardless if you're supposed to be there to meet somebody and say that whole thing fell through, you know, thank God you were in that space, because then you turned around and you saw so and so performing, and then you caught them after that performance and wanted to get to work or something, or even just share your words of encouragement or whatever. NYU made me pay more attention to the fact that if you only like focus on like, am I getting what I'm paying for, you're not going to understand that like you could be getting more than what you're paying for, but like you're looking for like that one, like whatever your reward is, what your predetermined reward is. And so like, just I mean, the aspect of like spontaneous like gratitude, spontaneous energy, it's definitely added to it, because even like thinking about like classes and whatnot, sometimes I'm in these classes, right, and I'm like, is this exact? Is do I need to necessarily be learning this? Or I'm like, well, am I gonna remember this years down the line when I encounter a similar situation, or will I encounter a situation like that? But then, I get up but then class is over. I get up and then here I am communing with 8 other people, who are bound to be, a part of the Recording Academy, in 10 years, like, and talking with teachers who have been renowned in work, for radio or performance or journalism or whatever. And why you told me to stop complaining, right? And open my eyes and be grateful, just for everything that I have and that which is happening.
Know what you're looking for, right? Know what you're looking for, and then know who you are, right? Because if you don't got both of those, you're gonna have a really rough time. And I think I got them both from college, but it's like, like in the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy and them are looking for the man, the magic man. I forgot what his name is, Oz or whatever. The whole time they're looking for him. Turns out the guy behind the curtains wasn't who he was supposed to be. But it's just the idea of the real magic is behind the curtains. And if you're not back there, you'll never really know what's going on. So know what you're looking for. Are you being like in class, like they're giving you X or Y, but like, is there more to it? Should you be looking for what's more to whatever you're learning from? Where they're teaching you about business, maybe there's more to that business. Ask your professor or whatever. But like, you have that opportunity to learn more, and you probably should, because there's always more to what you're learning. There's always more to life. There's always more to everything. The music business professor, Susan Dodes, she's a genius, I swear. She said perception is reality. And she's like, when it comes to music, that's really important, because what you put out is what people are going to see you as. So if you don't know who you are and you're putting out a fake image of yourself, you're never going to make it, because you're going to end up like 6ix9ine, and no one wants to be 6ix9ine. All right. You know what I'm saying? You just don't want to be 6ix9ine, but it's just that idea of like, who you are on stage, who you are on social media, who you are in real life is who people are going to see you as. And you want to make sure you're putting out who you are or who you would like to be. And if you do, you're going to have a lot of success in life and in your future and in music, because people gravitate towards that. People gravitate towards the real.
Well, is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about or plug or mention or anything?
100%. First and foremost, shout out to I'll plug GFM
Yeah.
straight up
Hmm.
because thinking it's so funny. I mean, I just talk about it in certain surroundings and whatnot, but that group has managed to do so much more than they might even know, you know.
Mm.
So it's like the music that they're responsible for, it's and the conversations, the discourse that they're responsible for, the experiences, uh,
Hmm.
it's huge. So definitely shout out to them because this wouldn't be
Hmm.
happening without that being
Right.
the case.
Exactly.
Definitely shout out to GFM.
Hmm.
And then yeah, and then I guess I'd say be on the lookout for I got something coming pretty soon. It's a collaborative project with one of my other collaborators who goes by the name of Titus Got Flow. And yeah, I mean, I don't really got to say much. We got a project coming out, and there's going to be a single coming even sooner. So
Mm.
yeah, turn them notifications on.
Hmm.
Probably, I mean, I got the same thing. That's it, man. Like single coming out soon, project coming out in like June, July. Be on the
Yeah.
lookout and just shout out GFM for putting this together. And if you're an artist, man, the hustle is always there. You just gotta do it. You just gotta do it. Doesn't matter if the pandemic's in the way, man, because no one else is
Hmm.
stopping for you.
Wow. Well, thank you guys so much for chatting with me. It was
Thank
really
you for having
insightful,
us.
even though I don't make music.
Thank you for having us. It's been a good
Yeah.
conversation.
Nah,
Yeah. Of
for
course. Of course.
I was about to say, I'm like, yeah, you don't make music, but you making a whole lot of just meaningful art and meaningful experiences with
Mm-hmm.
kickback. So y'all as well, really, you earn exactly you deserve exactly the praise that's coming to you. So
Yes,
we
sir.
Thank you so much.